Welcome to the Two Stewards Show. They say that a stimulated mind is an effective mind. And so, it must follow then that a hyper-stimulated mind is a hyper-effective mind. It seems society has taken this supposition and ran with it, and walked with it, sat with it, slept with it, held it, even doom-scrolled with it. But despite its name, hyperstimulation does not make one hyper at all. In fact, it has been observed that one who is hyperstimulated is actually quite docile and ineffective. This is counterintuitive to the law of parabolically increasing returns on hyperstimulation once coined by economist John Maynard Keynes. He proposed that as more juice is added to the economy, more prosperity and happiness will follow. But it turns out that many people don't even like juice, and so Keynes' idea of prosperity wasn't shared by all. Unfortunately, the people who shared Keynes' idea controlled the juice and added lots of it to the economy anyways. In honor of Keynes, the past 100 years have been called the era of hyperstimulation, or, in the common lexicon of the rebellious youth, a big sticky mess. This time we talk constant stimulation, AI besties, and more. To get in touch with the show, visit twostewards.ca. Remember, this show is not financial advice, but is valuable for listening amusement purposes. And now, libations for everybody.
Okay, here we go. We want to talk today about stimulation. You feel stimulated today, Brent?
Mark, we're the local talk therapists.
Don't get me started on that, Brent.
You don't believe in talk therapy, do you?
Oh, man.
Only if it's you. Only if it's you.
Only if I get to do the talking.
Just got to poke the bear right off
microphone.
Sorry, yes, Mark. I don't know. I've been stimulated. I'm just on my phone right now trying to read this. Sorry, I got two screens going.
Doom scrolling, and you're talking to me.
Yeah.
Terrible, Brent.
Are we recording?
Yes, okay. You're an example of everything that's wrong in our society. Okay, so welcome, folks, if you're listening. And apologies for, if you are a regular listener, for the spotty recording schedule lately. And that's entirely my fault. I just have not been as available, but we will endeavor to do better. Trying to get more organized, and that's not even the problem. It's just me, let's be honest. Brent's the organized one, in case you hadn't guessed. But anyways, we're going to work on getting weekly stuff out. But one thing that had grabbed my overstimulated attention recently was a comment about the U.S. economy, Western economies, and overstimulation. And
what made you think about constant stimulation?
I don't know, but it was like I read something about the need for, and this is not new, but the need for constant stimulation of the economy since the great financial crisis. I mean, probably before that, but it's like in very stark relief now for people to see, like since the great financial crisis, where people have argued we should have just let things crash and burn and let the market economy sort of take care of itself, right? And that probably would have been better, but instead the Fed saved pretty much everybody. There's a few companies that kind of went down, but really they got bought up and they got taken over, and nobody could get hurt. And so the Fed stepped in, provided immense amounts of liquidity and money printing, to simplify it. And then, we've heard this from Tom and Nick Karadza as well, ad infinitum, but they make a very good point that every time there's a crisis, we need more and more stimulation, financial stimulation, to overcome the crisis. And then it just kind of clicked in my head, like that's also sort of a metaphor, not even a metaphor, like that is society today.
Yeah.
For so many people.
It sounds like drugs. You take a hit.
Yeah, exactly.
And it has this huge impact, and things go great, and then you need more, and it slowly becomes a need.
Yeah.
And the impact of the hit becomes less and less, like the high that you get.
Yeah, the pleasure you get from it. You need more to get the same effect.
Yeah. So economically speaking, exactly what you're saying.
Well, it is, but then there's also the sort of second or third order effects that are ruinous.
Man,
right?
This is such a good way to look at things, Mark. Why did we think of this 130 episodes ago?
I was not stimulated adequately.
Okay.
No, but it's true, right? Because the financial overstimulation that we have has a lot of bad effects, just like being addicted to drugs or alcohol or whatever, right? There's so many bad effects that you don't initially think about. But when you think about, the financialization of the economy, commoditization of assets like houses, right? So that's one thing, we believe in real estate and investing in real estate, but really at the core, we shouldn't have to, right? This is a reaction. This is not like the most value added thing that you can do. But in order to protect your earnings and your savings, you got to put it somewhere. And real estate for most people is the best way to do that. But that's only because of the crazy economy that we've created, where assets, you're rewarded for holding assets. Well, assets are not a bad thing, but we've made real estate into a big asset class. And so instead of just holding money, and we've talked about this in regards to Bitcoin, right? You can't hold money, you can't hold cash because it devalues. So you have to put it into something else. And again, for most people, that's real estate. So that's one of the sort of second or third order effects of this massive stimulation and the massive bong hits that that we have to do more and more of.
The financially. Bong hits. All right.
there's the title for the episode.
Oh man. So, but that got you. So the financial aspect of this got you thinking about just the need for constant stimulation in our culture and all different. Like you can't even drive by a bus stop without seeing. Like, have you ever driven by a bus stop and seen people not on their phone? Like in the last 5 years.
Yeah, homeless guy.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, yeah.
Yeah, maybe he has something else he's.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? I'm reminded of...
Like you can't stand still for 10 minutes and not pull out your phone waiting for a bus.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Well, I mean, you're waiting for a bus. What else are you going to do?
That's what I mean.
Well, so I'm reminded... So people have countered this argument with a picture of like, the 1930s or something where it's a picture of a street in some, suburb or urban America where it's just a bunch of men and they're all dressed, nicely, right? They got their suits and their fedoras and whatever. But they're all reading the paper. And it's like, wow, was that sort of the iPhone of the 1930s, was the newspaper? Yeah. But I'm like, you know what? At least they were reading, and there's like just the benefits of reading versus ingesting video is much better. So, I mean, I think the point is we never change. We just have different forms of entertainment. That's true, but I would argue that the ones we have now are worse. Yeah. So yeah, it got me thinking that excuse me. Two things. Overstimulation, like just drenches our society, and that relates to our personal lives, to phones, to every aspect of culture that we ingest. And
we want to walk through
2 points. And
we want to walk through some of those examples, right?
Yeah.
What was the other point? You didn't have another point.
I did, and I forgot it because I'm...
Here, your other screen.
I'm over. I need my other screen.
You got 4 screens in front of you.
No, it was financial. I don't know. It'll come to me. Anyways, yeah, we have some examples. So, I mean, for the episode, we want to go through some examples of overstimulation in our in society, I think, and then some of the effects that it has. And then some of the fixes. And I mean, part of this is because we've been talking and I've been thinking, and my wife and I have been talking about our kids and like, what do we, how do we raise them? What do we do with them? Like once you have other people that you're looking out for, you're maybe a little more alert to issues. Because then we started, we've been talking about this and being like, okay, these phones are so bad. And like, what do we both do? We're both on our phones all the time, right?
Yeah.
Like we got to stop it because it's not good for us. And if we tell our kids they can't have phones because We've talked about that, right? Like the dangers of social media and just the dangers of overstimulation. And it's like, as I look up from my phone to tell them that.
Phones are bad.
Phones are bad. Oh, hold on a second. What's this? So, yeah, there's some examples. The economy. And I don't know, do we need to beat that one to death? Or, I mean, the point is, every time there's something bad, we need more of a
Justin
response.
Trudeau would say, the economy will beat itself to death.
Oh man, yeah. Well, that's part of it, right? Part of it is we lose focus on, and just in general, lose focus on the actual thing that's important, and we focus on the outcome.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a good thing to kind of talk about, right? We don't focus on how we create wealth. We focus on wealth.
Yeah. So let's walk through. So some of the examples, then we'll get to those effects, and then we'll try and come up with a fix for this.
We'll try
some ideas, anyways. But so
and just a quick preview. That fix is available for 4 easy payments of $29.99 from goodstewards.ca. No, it's not, but I tried. It's the financialization of everything.
yeah, your local talk therapist.
Exactly.
So one thing you mentioned to me last week was just the Weather Network.
Oh yeah, drives me nuts.
Even that's sensationalized.
Yeah, everything is gamified and sensationalized.
And just stimulate. Like you watch the weather maps and you're like, yikes.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean, right? It's all like the gamified part. Like it's always bright colors and like constant sort of stimulation, and maybe not the constant like you need the next thing, but yeah, with the weather, everything has to be like, what was the article? I don't know if we mentioned this on the last show, but it was BlogTO was like, we're in line for the coldest winter since last winter. Yeah. Just like the coldest stretch in 9 months. Yeah. Like, yeah, it's cold winter. Happens every year. And it gets cold and not so cold.
And see, I don't watch sports, but I did watch the World Series.
Yep.
Some of this. And just like, it's
jarring, eh?
It's unreal how, like, you just pull up statistics that are so obscure. And, like, okay, I get it. The game of baseball has, like, a lot of stats, and there's a lot of interesting stuff going on there. But, like, the most obscure statistics where it's like, how could that possibly mean anything?
I would argue that maybe there's a little bit of redemption there, because you got to do like research and you have to know things and like memorize. I'm not.
Well, now it's just AI.
I guess so. But if you're a baseball fan,
what's an interesting fact
stuff
about this guy in this situation? Oh, well, for 9 months he hasn't done this, and now all of a sudden he did. It's like, oh, okay, we're gonna go.
But baseball's always had like the most obscure, I don't know, statistics, right? And like it I don't know. I don't follow baseball, but again, World Series, I watched a couple games. And then there's like, I don't know, what is it, the OPS or something, which is a combination of like their slugging power, which is another statistic, and their on base percentage and how likely they are to, produce a run. Anyways,
we should do that for this show. Like how likely we are to get off track, produce value.
1,000%. We're batting 1,000.
Okay. Well, give us some examples, Mark. Give us some examples.
Let's go to sports though.
Okay.
Or maybe stick with sports for a second. We talk about gamification, and we'll talk about porn as well, because that's a big one. But it seems like, like maybe this is just a hunch. Porn use has maybe peaked and is maybe on coming back down. Just some things that I've read and
is that because we hit like 100% of human beings alive?
yeah, we can't go any higher.
Okay.
No, but I mean, like maybe people are realizing, because there's a lot of info out there about it now. And it's become so commonplace that people will talk about it and be like, okay, yeah, that's actually like
not good.
But I can also talk to people about it, and we can like just be like, yeah, I'll support you, man. But gambling, right? And this is not, again, this is we're Christians. We belong to a church, and gambling in the church among youth, and especially young men. So we know that from studies, young men gambling is on the rise. But you can gamble on everything, right? And it's if you do look at the gambling sites, they're gamified, right? It's no longer like you got to go talk to Vic, the bookie, and in some smoky room and like write something on a piece of paper and be like, here's my bet.
So is the example here is constant stimulation, the need for that. Is it young men are looking to these gambling things? Like, what are they getting out of it? Is it the constant stimulation they get from the interface that they're interacting with and the little dopamine hits of like, hey, I could win something. Like, I don't know how these things work, but like, I could win.
Yeah. So it's the same. It's like playing a video game where you have bright lights and constant rewards and things and stuff happening.
I don't play video games either, so I'm not the guy for this podcast.
We'll get you there, Brent. No, but it's like I haven't.
Yeah,
I haven't tried these sites.
Fun is like sitting on the couch reading a book for an hour,
Where's the bright lights? Where's the constant stimulation? If you read fast enough, those speed readers, that's constant stimulation. But no, but yeah, so it's a combination of everything. And like, the rewards, right? Maybe you win, maybe you don't. And then just the way they're set up. You have to remember everybody involved in these industries, whether it's porn, whether it's gambling, whether it's anything like even video games, right? They're focused on getting you hooked. So they know what works with human psychology and will leverage that against you, right? I was reading a lot of the gambling apps will not even take debit. They only take credit. And I think the reason for that, is that you're more detached from reality, right? If debit, you can see your bank account going lower and lower. Like I had $1,000 and now I don't have any. Is worse than like, I got a $5,000 limit and I've, used that up. It's just psychologically, I think it's different. And just crazy. But anyways, point is, gambling apps is on the rise. You can gamble on anything, right? We've talked about Polymarket too, for its strength as a predictive model. And like, that's true, but it's also a gambling site. So you can gamble on anything and get reward or, probably not. Anyways, it's just something that, so I talked to a few people like younger than me, like, what do you think about gambling? Like, young men in the church, and the response has been like, it's a problem. I could name you like 10, 20, 30 young guys in the church that are gambling online. And, so aside from the obvious negative repercussion, like most people who gamble do, like the house always wins. So you're going to lose money in the long run. So it can be financially pretty disastrous. And, most people are like, it's just a little bit of fun, right? What does OLG say? Know your limits and stay within it. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I think to kind of broaden the list of different things that stimulate people, like for one, your constant phone notifications, just always getting updates. I don't know if you do you have your notifications turned on all the time, or like I turn things off?
Yeah, some.
I know,
some are off.
Like Gideon, who runs the podcast, like he has this, I don't know how he does it. I guess you have a location specific phone setting where you can, if you go here, it'll silence your notifications.
Yeah.
I don't spend enough time to figure this stuff out, but that's one thing that I think if you rewind, 20 years, that just didn't exist. There was other notifications. Like you remember the classic, like if you listen to a commercial now, you hear the phone ringing in the background. It's like that classic like phone ring from the 90s or whatever. But that was in the home, right?
Yeah.
You have the phone ringing, but now it's just ding, ding, whatever, like all these, and they're so temperate, like the Snapchat, this idea that like this thing will be gone, or it's just here.
Interact now.
Yeah. Interact now. Let's do this. And then, like even like the short form video content that's out there, right? Like all of the content that you see, it's like TikTok, right? Boom, 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 like 10-second thing, or like Tinder, like these apps where you just like swipe, whatever, right? Everything's designed to like shorten your attention span.
Yeah, and be easy to like do something quick.
But even multitasking and this idea of being busy, right? That's another example. Yeah. Bing. Okay. Turn your thing off here. We're trying
That wasn't me.
trying
That
to
was
set
you.
an example.
It was you. I'm the bad example in this one, okay? It's like good cop, bad cop.
Yeah. But I know for myself, I have, multiple browser windows open with all kinds of tabs. And then my desktop is just full of different things. And my actual desktop is full of different sticky notes, right? And it's just, it's, I don't know if that's anything new, but multitasking is kind of the new norm, right? I'm always, it's almost like pride, right? Like I'm busy. I'm so It's like, ooh, And that's part of this overstimulation, just constantly having to fill your time with something to do.
It is, but I agree. But part of it is that we're leveraging.
See, we're not agreeing or disagreeing at this part of the podcast.
I disagree,
describing
Brent.
the examples.
No, but we're busy, and you described. Yeah, I've got sticky notes and I've got different things.
Yeah.
But they're not like flashing bright colors and like enticing you to like, oh yeah, deal with this, but only for a second, and then do the next thing. Right. So we're leveraging human psychology for different apps and different things. So, I mean, some other, I mentioned porn. That was, another, example. And there was we had a conference a little while ago that I went to with, a bunch of other people. And, one thing that was mentioned there is that it's not necessarily about the actual content or like a sexual thing, but it's about dopamine. Not always, right? Not like 100% rule, but it's about that sort of reward or the motivation. And because one guy was talking about his past addiction and how he overcame it, which was like rewarding to hear, but he was saying like some of it was just boredom sometimes, and just like this is a pattern that you have. And like, oh, I need a dopamine spike. And so, this is what I'm going to go to. It's not that he was like insatiable and whatever, but it was, right. And so that sort of made something click in my head too. Like, okay, so this is not, we have this issue of stimulation and the constant search for it because we condition ourselves. And then that comes out in so many different ways.
Yeah.
So it's that,
like how many times do you check
spike.
your phone?
Yeah.
Right. Just this like, I gotta check it.
Well,
actually,
and then
I'm gonna check it right now.
When you think about that,
actually, when I'm driving down the road and I see the big billboard that says "Don't check your phone," it's like, oh yeah, I gotta check my phone. Like every time.
I took a picture of it.
Yeah. Like, I gotta remember that for next time. I'm gonna take a picture.
Took a picture and tweeted it.
Just so everybody knows. Yeah. And then I'll have to like all the comments, right?
Oh man. But yeah, so some of the like just talking about dopamine. So I had to do a little bit of research for an episode for once. Right. I always thought about dopamine as like the sort of the pleasure chemical. Oh, yeah. Switch the screen. My attention. Pleasure chemical, but it's more about motivation and anticipation, apparently. Right? It tells your brain like, do this again. Yeah. This is worth it. So and what happens is you disengage or you use your prefrontal cortex.
Yeah.
Kind of
so
the
you're
front
now
part of your
moving
brain.
from examples of stimulation to the effects of it. And
not the effects, but just how it works. Right? Because people always talk about like dopamine hits.
Yeah.
Like, but what is that actually?
What does that actually mean?
What does that mean? So the front part of your brain, prefrontal cortex, handles focus, impulse control, planning, delayed gratification. And like we talk about this stuff a lot, right? Especially around Bitcoin.
Yeah. Anything financial is just, you have to save.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
delay gratification to
achieve something
to
worthwhile.
build capital, to invest it. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're training ourselves in every aspect of society to move away from that thinking to more of like the, the basal ganglia, different part of your brain anyways, right? That is like not sustained. It's novelty seeking. It's habits.
Debt slavery.
Well, that's an effect. We're not getting
Okay.
Yeah, not that kind of gang, chain gang. No, but it's moving you away from that way of thinking. Like, it's just interesting that there's an actual physical
part of your brain.
reality that you're switching away from that part of your brain to a different part of your brain. And sometimes you need that other part of your brain, right? I mean, I don't know. I don't use most parts of my brain, but certain ones you need in different situations. But certainly we need, like, you need to work on impulse control and planning, right? We talk about society, Western civilization, like that's kind of how it was built, moving away from the fight or flight or survival mode to like long-term planning, right? How can you build a cathedral over hundreds of years without a sustained emphasis on long-term planning by multiple generations?
What about another example that I thought of? So in work, like in our work culture, this whole idea of always being on, always being attached to your work and available to answer. And do you think that's kind of a recent phenomenon versus, I mean, work demands have always been there, but this expectation that you need to reply immediately to a message or something that came up.
It's made it worse, I think, right? Like you've always had workaholics, right? To some extent. But I think this sort of just expands it because now with electronic, like with a phone, well, now your phone's always with you. And now I know Brent's got a phone and I can email him. And maybe I should expect a response.
Like I sometimes I sit there and I'm thinking, I just sent like 40 emails, and imagine if I had to do this with handwriting a letter on a paper and putting it in the mail.
What would I do?
And waiting. Like, what would I say in those emails? I am conducting business over in Oxford today. I will see you upon my return in 2 months henceforth. And you shall meet me at this and this, whatever. And like, oh no, he didn't come. Well, I guess next year we'll figure out this business deal. Right? Like, how slow. So
I just revisited Sense and Sensibility in an audio format.
Okay.
And this has a point, I promise. No, but I was thinking about the very same thing, but the different pace of life and how you would send a letter. And I mean, they had messengers and they could send letters very quickly. But how, maybe you go on vacation or you go away on business or something, like you're just gone.
Yeah.
And there's letters and stuff. Hopefully they reach you. But completely different pace of life. And like, how did they ever build any kind of society doing that?
But the expectations in that society were different as well, right?
Well, limited by technology.
Yeah. So I just expect that you're not going to get back to me for 3 months. So I'm going to go about my life and,
have to make decisions
and stand on my own 2 feet. So that's another example where we've just moved into this like constant stimulation and constant feedback, right? Like I got to send a message so that I can get a message tomorrow so that I can, just constant iterative. It's overload.
Yeah, it is. Well, you had mentioned what's the book you got there you're reading?
The Vanishing American Adult. Our coming of age crisis and how to rebuild a culture of self-reliance. This is Ben Sasse, senator in the U.S. This is a little.
This is not about weight loss, then.
No,
the Vanishing American Adult. If anything, they're increasing. Yeah. But you had a point there, or he made a point, I think, about anti-consumerism in like the 60s and how it was basically like smelly hippies who were against the consumer culture, but like maybe they had a point, right? Because we're seeing that now where people are, maybe not anti-consumerism. Like, no, like let's make things that last. And you've talked about your background in design and how things have designed obsolescence, right?
Yeah. So one of his points when he talks about how the American adult is vanishing, right? So he talks about consume less. So that's one of the counterpoints. Like we want to, instead of consuming more and living in a culture of consumerism, we want to consume less. And how our post-industrial age of anxiety, where let's just read this quote for a second. I'm trying to wrap my head around this. Critics of the cultural consequences of consumerism were often suspicious of the broader capitalist order as well, and a few of them were bona fide socialists. But one need not share their skepticism of a market-oriented system of production, he says, I don't, to nonetheless worry deeply about a collective decision to fan the flames of appetite rather than self-restraint. And he says, I do. So he sees that, these people like we are really fanning the flames of appetite, right? So
Yeah.
we're trying to appeal to people's appetites. And then he says, they offered an important line of questioning. What happens when the peddling of more goods becomes a larger societal riddle to solve than the making of goods?
Yeah.
What happens when the brightest brains become invested in stimulating demand rather than either fulfilling or restraining it? That's a really good point. So, and what happens when our most talented poets find their highest calling in advertising?
Yeah. So that's kind of profound, right?
Advertising is a big one, right? You got like bright colors, like fast paced. Everything is hooks, right? Emotion.
Yeah.
They're trying to grab you in. Even now, and just in the last couple of years, the more prevalence of using algorithms to try and like narrow down and like, I know exactly everything about Mark, and like, boom, here's exactly what's going to tug on his heartstrings.
Yeah.
You know, probably a big juicy steak or something.
I mean, yeah, if you want to, just for anybody listening out there, if you want to tug on my heartstrings, a big juicy steak is the way to do that.
On like some sort of Roman chariot or something.
I mean, just could be a Roman platter, you know, maybe with an amphora of wine.
But we have in so many ways, like they were warning of the dangers of putting our best people on the task of stimulation and stimulating people to consume. And I think we've done that in many ways. Like, what was the movie where they're talking about the Social Network, or basically
Facebook?
all the execs who build all the apps that we use don't use them or let their kids use them. And it's just like, hey, you're the brainiest people in the world building this stuff that you know is just basically a drug for every human being. And so
it's
we're in a trap
crazy
here, Mark.
Well, because I was thinking, we talked about Great Financial Crisis 2008-9, or simulation, and then 2011 the iPhone came out, and then shortly after that you saw anxiety rates, depression rates, therapy rates on the rise in especially young girls, also young boys, but especially young girls. Like, it skyrocketed, right? And I was, I don't know if I got this in my notes, but just the numbers, right, of people on antidepressant meds. And like, I'm not whatever, like singling them out or whatever, but it's interesting to look at the numbers, right? We have for teens and for adults, it's pretty similar, right? 11.4% of adults take meds for depression. But among that, it's about 15% women. 15% of women are taking some kind of antidepressant, as opposed to 7.4% of men. So I don't know what that says about men. We're less prone to... I think it's just because we're stubborn and we don't admit it.
We're just generally depressed.
No, we just don't want to admit that.
And another article that I came across in The Guardian is talking about the UK, and they did a study in England and Wales. It shows that 13 to 17-year-olds, so teenagers.
Like, they studied teenage whales?
Yeah. Only the English ones.
I can't resist a
Only
whales
the English
joke.
ones.
Sorry, let me interrupt you. No, hold on, Brent.
20...
I got to get it out, Brent, or I'll explode, right?
All right.
The guy walks up to two girls and says, oh, man, what does he say? So you, nice to meet some... I can't remember. Okay, go ahead with your thing, and I'll come back to the joke.
So it says 40% of 13 to 17-year-olds in England and Wales affected by youth violence are turning to AI chatbots for mental health support.
Right.
40%. So, and 25% of that age group, just in general, is using it as a friend, kind of like consulting with it and building friendships with AI. Like, that's their friends. Like, a quarter of the people like the teens in UK are doing this. It's like unreal.
Yeah.
But there's reasons given for it, right? Like, it's fast. You can get onto it right away. You don't have to wait in line for a therapist.
Yeah, I mean, I've
You don't have
been.
to wait for the next Two Stewards episode to come out. Get your fix.
I would think that would cause anxiety rather than relieve it.
Yeah, we noticed since we started our show, actually, the prevalence of antidepressant meds went up, and especially in this area.
No, I mean, I have been critical in the past of talk therapy, right?
Yeah.
And I think I'm still going to stick to that.
I mean, it's different. Like with your therapist, you can't be like, "Hey, bestie," and then expect it to say that back to you. But with AI, you can
I don't know,
create.
maybe you can.
You can create your own therapist.
Well,
right?
this is why I'm like, maybe the AI is not such a bad thing because it can replace some of the therapists. Because I think this is my completely uneducated opinion, but I mean, you look at the rates of therapy and the amount of therapists we have, and then the rates of depression and anxiety, and both are rising. So it would seem to me that having more therapy and more therapists available has done nothing to quell anxiety or depression. I'm not saying that therapists are not valid, and especially in some situation where there's trauma, you need to recover from that, like, yeah, 100%. But, you know, for people who are feeling a bit anxious or sad or whatever, like for a lot of people, it's a never ending cycle of therapy. Like you go to the therapist and there's no cure, right? It's like, so with AI, if you can have that where you just need to talk to somebody, great.
Yeah,
You talk to somebody who's non-judgmental, it's available.
It's private. No one's gonna.
But I mean, there's a line because
Private. I guess it's not private. Like they're selling it to somebody.
Yeah, well, that's what you got to realize. It's not private. There's no
Yeah, I heard that
person
too,
there
like,
judging you.
People paying for these VPNs, and somehow their data's getting like all their private
Oh,
AI
yeah.
conversations are getting hijacked and sold.
Well, what better way to get sensitive information than to sell a VPN, but not really actually
Yeah, yeah.
have privacy? No, I mean, so we have heard about more people having AI boyfriends or girlfriends, and like that's so. I mean, there's a limit to the therapy or whatever, right? Like it's
The limit to the human species
Oh,
if
man.
we keep this trend up. Yeah. Well, they say that they love the immediacy of it.
Yep.
You know, it doesn't judge me, tells me what I want to hear. It's private.
yeah.
All right. Well,
I mean, if it told you what you needed to hear
that would
versus
be
what,
different. Yeah. So what they
wanted
need
to
to
hear.
do is take all of the things Mark has said and put them into a large language model or a small language model.
I think so, because
and
it would
make
just
that
yell at
because-
you.
Yeah.
Right? Like, get out of bed. Come on, comb your hair. Like,
Put down your avocado
go for a
toast.
run.
Gideon sent me a picture of avocado socks the other day for you. So. You might have a Christmas present coming.
Oh, excellent. I like gratification.
Yeah.
Hey, I thought of the joke. A guy walks up to two women and says, "So, where are you ladies from?" And they say, "Wales." He's like, "Oh, sorry. Where are you Wales from?"
I don't know if I'm supposed to laugh at that one.
Can't resist a body shaming joke here.
Okay.
So, okay, we've talked about a lot of examples. We should talk about some of the effects.
Yeah.
Of which I think we've kind of gotten into,
Yeah.
right?
Are we 36 minutes into examples and we need to get into the effects?
Yeah,
Stick around
we'll
for
be
the
quick.
fix. Stick around for the fix.
Maybe
It's
this
only
will be a-
$36.99.
Be a two-part episode. No, but I mean some of the effects, right? In terms of personal effects, right? Is dopamine desensitivity, right? So basically, you need more and more hits to get the same result, and so that's
Yeah.
something that we've seen.
Is that like dopamine stacking too? You hear that term where you got to have
Yeah, you
multiple
got
things at the
multiple
same-
hits.
Yeah.
Because you have different receptors. Like I'm not a doctor here.
You sound like a doctor.
I never finished medical school, but did you ever start? No, I never started either. But it's true that I did not finish. No, but you have different receptors too,
Yeah.
I guess, right? Different areas that can receive it. So you stack it and you hit them all and build it up. Yeah, but I think you were talking about like the two screening, right? Where you're watching TV and you're on your phone.
Yeah. Multitasking.
Yeah. So you're stacking the dopamine. But yeah, the basic, I guess the idea is you need more and more stimulation to get the same result. And that applies to, social media. And I think that comes in the form of like shorter and shorter content as well. So you get a more immediate response, immediate hit. And you can also ingest more content in a given period, like TikTok, right? You get whatever, 10 or 30 seconds videos. But, with drugs, right? You start doing crack, well, you need more and more to get high, and, whatever. Put your drug of choice in there. With porn, so that one's a little bit novel, right? Because what do they call it? A super normal or something. Super normal stimulus, right? Because you also get sexual reward. So, which is a very strong urge in people, right? It's not just like a reward of sugar or guilty of that one, the sugar rush. But it's the sexual reward, which is like one of the strongest natural desires. But then there's unlimited novelty, instantly available. So that one's particularly pernicious, right? Which we've seen, right? Huge rates of porn use and addiction. And then financially, all the same things, and it's eerie.
Yeah,
right? Which is,
it's
I
eerie
think
how
that was
interconnected all of this is. There's this increased consumption and ongoing consumption, like porn, drugs, whatever, food. You name your thing, like you said, we're just wired to consume more.
Yeah.
And what I think the lie is that we've been sold is that consuming more will lead to satisfaction or happiness or joy. And that's the lie, right?
Yeah.
The truth is that, and Ben Sass kind of goes into this with this book too, where producing actually and serving actually generates more satisfaction and happiness. So just even on a secular level, you look at the kind of the science of this and all the studies show and whatever, like not even getting into the biblical kind of virtues of this and what the Bible teaches is true. If we're consuming, we're not actively serving. We're not delaying gratification. We're not taking responsibility. We're not taking risk. We're not enduring any hardship. We're just seeking to get things.
Yeah.
That's a lie, right? Like that actually is going to sell you happiness. And I think, what does he say here? He's talking about, so imagine you had like teenage kids and they are all sitting down watching a movie with their friends. Like that's consumption, right? But now imagine they're all sitting down and they're all playing instruments and trying to make a song. So like the difference between consumption and production, right? And a simple example of the effects of this. So like if the teenagers went over to their friend's house to watch a movie and then they go home, how do they feel? Like you kind of put yourself in that situation. How would you feel? Like, oh, I had a good time with my buddies. I watched this movie and like went home, right? But like imagine you went there, you actually expended energy, you thought about the song, you interacted with other human beings, you made something, and you actually you learned because you did something wrong, then you experimented and you did it right, and then there was that reward cycle, and all of a sudden now like this is actually fun. And, we did it wrong 100 times, but we endured something shared together as friends. Like we have a shared experience. Like you ever been in a band? I've never really, like it's high school, you think you're in a band, but, but like just creating something together, it doesn't have to be music, but it could be anything, right?
Well, even just, I don't know. I've done choir. I've done a little bit of church,
even if you're tangentially like I'm part of this because I do the
Yeah.
sound, right? Like you're creating something and you're producing and you're involved, right? That has the satisfaction aspect to it.
Yeah, like a good satisfaction. But then, it also builds other. I think we're kind of getting to some of the fixes, but
So we,
well,
we have to
no,
start
but you're
charging
also
people for this.
not yet.
Shoot.
No, but you have to learn
We've been
also
doing this
patience.
podcast for 3 years and not getting paid. How patient is that? That's so patient.
That's true. Yeah, well, it's long-term thinking. But if you're creating music, right? Maybe you're good, maybe the other people aren't, or someone screws up and you have to start. Like you're also learning patience. You're learning there are all kinds of different benefits to that. So I agree with you on this one, Brent.
Okay, great.
for sure.
Man, we were on a good track. Good wavelength.
No, but one of the, I remember I had 2 points way back when, I forgot. But it's one that sort of, yeah, you wonder about. Bitcoiners make the assertion that if you fix the money, you fix the world. Right? So the Christian viewpoint is like, no, like fix your relationship with God. Like we can't fix it, but you know what I mean. I'm using this in air quotes, right? Like get right with God, and then things will be better, and they won't be perfect. It's not a promise, but like fix, you could say fix spirituality, fix the world. But it is they're onto something in that, like, what is the driver of all this? Is it the money? Right? We saw great financial crisis, more and more stimulation. Is that just the way society was going? Or is it because money is half of every transaction and a good part of every interaction with people?
Yeah. Or as
was it driving that?
I think Saifedean Ammous calls it like the largest market in the world. You don't really think about it as a market, but the market for money is the biggest market there is. Like everyone wants money.
Yeah. So does that drive everything, all other parts of human behavior? And it's like, I don't have an answer, but there's a very strong correlation, right? And is that, like, when you look at it that way, is what we're doing with our financial system causing all of these other issues?
Yeah, like when I just reflect on your example of gambling and credit card versus debit card, right?
Yeah.
Well, we know that the debit card is pulling fiat money anyways, which is not backed by anything, but the credit aspect to this, right? There's the layer of, well, it's not really like, I don't have to pay for it now. And that pervades everything, right? Like the government, the corporation, they use debt instead of savings. They don't have any money. They just borrow money to different degrees.
Yeah.
And that's how they finance whatever they're going to do. So if you're financing gambling, for example, you're pulling fake money, borrowed fake money out of nowhere to do gambling online. Like how much more of an obscure kind of abstract reality are you living in, right?
Yeah, totally detached from reality. But that's our financial system. Detached from reality. And then, so I don't know.
So one thing this guy, Ben Sass, is talking about too is how hard work produces wealth.
Sometimes.
And then, yes.
We just gave the example of the podcast.
Come on, it wasn't that hard, Mark. Okay. I wasn't even done my sentence. Okay, hard work produces wealth, which then produces leisure.
Right.
So that's kind of the general thing. You do your effort, you build up some capital, and then as you've delayed your gratification, you can now have time to enjoy that.
The fruits of your labor.
Which in an individual person's life, this is the point he makes. Like in an individual person's life, that trajectory makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Because the effects of your work and accumulating all this capital will provide the context for your leisure, your pleasure, your enjoyment later, right? So you're not going to necessarily want to squander everything that you've sweat, your entire, working life trying to accumulate. So obviously there's some exceptions to that, but in general, right? But he says when you take that on a generational scale where one generation works hard and produces and sacrifices and delays gratification, then the next generation kind of accumulates this wealth, right? And it transitions, and then you get a generation that is living in leisure, which is this constant stimulation. The generation that we're living in, right, is I want to enjoy the fruits of the previous generation's labor, but I want to do so outside of the context of all the work that's been done.
Yeah.
So there's nothing tying that.
Yeah, that's what we're seeing now, right? We've gone through.
There's nothing tying it to the cost. So when you talk about money and how it's fiat money, and it's money that doesn't have a cost. Like there is nobody even the government or the bank who produces it, they just produced it with no cost. There's nothing that it didn't take them any effort to produce.
Yeah.
So it's no value. Like, I don't know, man. Well, I'm reading the Gold Standard too, which is I think I mentioned, is the alternative history of the 20th century, saying, hey, what if a World War I, instead of going off the gold standard and globally we stayed on it, what would that have looked like?
Yeah.
When he talks about how like Britain went off the gold standard and how they were backed by gold, and then they had these two guys. Was it that they wanted to finance the war, so they sold war bonds, right? And
Sorry, you're talking about First World War?
the First World
Yeah.
War. So they sold war bonds, and they had this big, hey, everybody's got to support the war.
Which was very successful, right? The public bought tons of them.
Yeah. So then 103 years later, in 2017, they actually found the documents and they released that these two fellows at the bank
Yeah.
borrowed money from the bank and bought I think it was like 2/3 of the bonds or whatever,
Yeah.
like to get to them all the way to the full capacity
Yeah.
to finance the war.
Yeah.
Like insane. They used fake money created at no cost to put the nation into war, which like strategic, if you look kind of at the politics of the situation in Europe at the time, like if they didn't join the war and they didn't give the other countries confidence that they would join the war, like history could have turned out very, very differently.
Yeah. That one blew me away too. When I realized, like, oh yeah, all the war bonds, that was all fake.
Fake
Like how much
money.
of that happened in the States, right? You thought it was the nation like rising up, but it wasn't. And I mean, so we don't have time on this episode, but we're kind of looking at a similar situation today, I think, a little bit as Europe prepares to be they're on a war footing. Right? They're talking about it. The UK is talking about it. Like there's going to have to be sacrifices and your sons and your daughters and all these people that we have told for decades that there is no culture, that whatever culture you had is terrible and bad. And we're going to change it by bringing in, massive immigration.
Now you have to die.
Now you have to die for our globalization agenda.
Yeah,
I have some strong thoughts on how the U.S. is approaching that, because the U.S. is moving away from Europe.
Is that why your head is so hard?
Anyways, that'll be another episode. But see how distracted we are, how overstimulated we are by all those books you've been reading.
Oh,
So yeah, I had some good points, but I forgot.
I
what they
thought
are.
when I talk, you were to think, but
No, I
maybe you're
was.
just
Okay, you know what I was
listening to me
thinking
the whole
about?
time.
You know what I was thinking about, Brent?
Steak,
Just take a guess. No, that's a good one.
Rome.
Yes, the Roman Empire. Always the Roman Empire. So let's just talk about empires quickly, and I have some notes here. But you see, like common late empire patterns, or just patterns for empires. And I think this is, again, history, very useful to see what happened in the past. Is it going to happen again? Because we go in cycles. There's not a linear thing. And yeah, the Roman Empire is just, my favorite one because they had the best uniforms, I guess. But you see in early empires, and like this is applicable to the American Empire today, or you could say like whatever, a globalist empire. But initially you have, there's strength, right? There's high productivity, there's expansion of the empire. So you have surpluses, right? So you have a society that does well, creates surpluses, and then, expands militarily or otherwise economically. And then once you get that, okay, now we need some more administration to handle all this stuff, the growing empire. So more complexity, more administration or bureaucracy, more costs. You get into a stimulus phase, right? Where there's monetary manipulation. The Romans were fooling around with the money towards the end and stop me if you've heard this before, right?
Yeah.
Manipulating money. There's debt, issues with debt, redistribution. There's more of a focus on not total debt, but how to manage the debt or how to manage deficits, right? We're seeing that now where we're not talking about net debt anymore. We're talking about net deficit or deficit to GDP.
Yeah, I love that.
Right? And then each...
I think I love that because now that I know that I have assets to insulate me a little bit from this and our family, okay, you can talk about whatever you want, net debt to deficit, whatever nonsense. All right, have fun.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully you get to keep your assets.
Yeah.
And then you start to see interventions, right? But each intervention does less. Again, stop me if you've heard this before, right? You need more and more stimulus. You need more intervention to maintain order. Market signals start to get ignored.
What about when do people wake up? to what's happening?
They don't.
Is it a?
They
okay.
don't.
Okay.
The people in Rome did not know that the empire was collapsing until the Goths were in the city and had sacked the city. So let me just go. There's a couple more things, right? Market signals are ignored. We're seeing that now with the disconnect in like the bond market, in the stock market. Stock market should be like dying. It's not. And probably is going to go to the moon.
Isn't it just 7 companies in the U.S. trading debt with one another?
Exactly.
I
Right?
took $10 billion from him. And
Political incentives dominate. Yep. And then finally, you have a collapse, maybe a managed decline, maybe you fade off into grace, but often it's a collapse because of some external factor, because everything is so fragile now, it cannot withstand any kind of exogenous shock.
Yeah.
And so we're not there yet. But you said, like, when does it end? It ends with something bad. Unless you can sort of fade off where you're like, okay, we got to manage this, but that means we're no longer going to be an empire. We're not going to collapse and people aren't going to die, but we have to give up all of our. So you could maybe say that with the British Empire is probably an example where it sort of faded off. And
like
there's different theories on that.
The peaceful dissolution of an empire.
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah, you've seen that where they transitioned to the Commonwealth. Well, that was just an allowance for like, okay, we can't keep you as a colony anymore, so let's just pretend we're all buddies, and we'll have the Commonwealth where, there's still lots of members of the Commonwealth.
Games?
Yeah, fun and games and a king or a queen or something, or you just have an entire collapse, which you saw like Roman Empire, the Western Roman Empire, and like there's plenty of empires, the Spanish Empire. Lots of examples of that. And are we headed there? I mean, you talk about fourth turning. Yeah, I think so, unless something happens to stop that. And that is what the U.S. is trying to do. Again, we're not going to get into that now.
Maybe one question, I don't know if this parallels the empire thing, but
yeah,
how much more stimulation can we get than this? Like the human brain and our senses, like there is only so many hours in a day. There are human limitations. And this is like my product design background. One of the things you talk about is ergonomics, right? So like, how do human beings interact with objects? And
I call it nerdonomics,
yeah.
But carry on, Brent.
But like we have physical proportions to our body, right? We only have 5 fingers. Like you can't design something that's
maybe you do.
Yeah,
you totally can. It's called AI and virtual reality. So, how much more stimulation can we take? We can take a lot more financial stimulation, I think. I think it is going to shock everybody how much stimulation we'll see. Like they're already talking about increasing liquidity. Like the banks
and universal basic income.
Yeah, but the banks print money. How is it that we need more? They can make more money, literally. Why do we need more? Right, but the Fed is increasing liquidity. I don't know. Seems a little bit crazy. But so on the financial side, we have a long ways to go.
But my argument is that, okay, there is a long ways to go. There is a next step, but there is also human limits, right?
There are. We haven't reached them yet, is my point.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so I think we're on the same page because at some point this breaks. That's my point, is that you just physically can't jam more debt in the system, or you can't stimulate the human brain more than, how many TikTok videos, like eventually you need to go and eat something, like you can watch TikTok videos until you pass out, but like, or we turn it, I don't know, Brave New World, is that the one where you like,
maybe, right? Okay, but you've talked about use of AI in teens, and then we mentioned like AI girlfriends and boyfriends, and them telling you to do bad things, and
so at some point
it's happened. No, but now you add virtual reality to that, add the headset, add whatever.
So the next 5 years is going to be really interesting. 3 to 5 years where AI is just growing. Like we're getting stimulated. We're getting like the economy's getting this big QE juice coming. And at some point it's going to be like, all right, this is not working. This is like, we're in the drug phase where you're just like, this is not.
Yeah. Universal basic income.
Yeah.
Right. Elon Musk is talking about it, like high universal income. because you think the technology is going to solve it, but I don't think it is. Right? You're going to see more and more isolation of people. Right? I mean, that's one of the effects of AI is you can just go. We talked about the hikikomori in Japan, right? The basically the shut-ins.
Yeah.
But young people, they might live at home. They stay in their bedroom. They never leave because they have virtual reality, right? And like Crude now, or it was, as I understand, it's getting better. But yeah, you can just like throw on your VR headset and like do that all day. And yeah, you got to eat. You're right. You got to eat and go to the bathroom, hopefully. But you can live in a completely alternate real like universe, especially if you have a disability, quote unquote. So the government funds you. You can just live like that, and you just have complete human disconnection, right? And as people get lonelier, as families break down, we do. Well, that's the beauty. Like, so some people say, oh, you need community organization and stuff. Like as Christians, we're like, this is the function of the church, right? Where you have human interaction, you support each other, you can do all these things that we're talking, all the stimulation in the right way. So maybe we should move towards like the fixes.
The fix. All right, hit us with the fixes here. We got 59 minutes and we're at the fixes.
I need my fix, man.
I think the number one fix is just tickle your ears often, like with your fingers, so that you don't have to.
Yes, I assume you're referring to our text to Timothy, 2 Timothy 4, verse 3, I think. So let me just read that for a second, because that's another thing that sort of triggered this in my head, this whole episode. So at verse 3, for the time is coming. Oh, there we go. Let me start that over there. Camera cut off. For the time is coming when people will not endure sound teaching, but having itching ears, they will accumulate for themselves teachers to suit their own passions, and will turn away from listening to the truth and wander off into myths.
No, I got a better book than that.
Yeah, I don't like how that one was worded. Yeah. So
it's interesting you use the word sound.
Well, yeah, there's lots of teaching.
Yeah. Well,
lots of sound teaching.
Sound teaching, and we talk about sound money all the time too. And that word, just the foundational aspect of it, right? Like there is no error in sound teaching. Yeah. Yeah.
And so there's a lot to unpack there, which we can't. But one thing I'll say, this is the written word. And so when you're talking about fixes, we've talked about this before with kids and stuff, like make them read, make them learn to read. Like one of the most important things you can do is get them to read. So like for the Christian, it's absolutely essential to be able to read and understand because we have the Bible, right? Jesus didn't come at a time, he didn't come now when everybody could have documented everything on video. And, you can say I'm taking it too far or being an old stick in the mud, but I think there's a huge reason for that. And the reason that the whole Bible is written down, right? There is value in the written word, and you have to think and you have to use your brain. So when you're studying the Bible, so this is like, here's some of the fixes, right? For Christians, engage in the word, like as often as you can, right? Daily, whatever that is, like actual read. And so, the few things that'll bring you closer to God, it will regulate your spirituality. But then just like everything else that God said is good for you to do, it has other benefits. So we're talking about all this overstimulation, right?
Yeah. I mean, read my Bible on my phone. I get a little email, and then next thing you know, I'm working again.
Well, but that's a good point. We have the Bible app, right? Yeah. And we encourage, like at our church, we encourage people to bring your Bible, a physical Bible. So our kids have Bibles, like, here's the Bible, look it up.
There's literally a chapter in this book that he talks about physical books and the value of them. It's interesting. Yeah. He has a whole chapter on building a bookshelf and then the reality of what a book can do to you.
And what happens when one of the little pegs breaks and all your books fall down?
Yeah.
Don't get the IKEA bookshelves.
Well, and he talks even just about like your thing on literacy and whatever, but like the importance in a democracy for everyone to be educated and like articulate.
Yes.
Not like myself, but people who actually can say their ideas and speak their mind.
Educated. So that's another pet peeve of mine, right?
Yeah.
We live in a society, again, it's all about the reward and not the process. People say, oh, you're not educated. I have my BA or master's or PhD. And right, I've seen so many people, we've seen, the former president of Harvard, just, no, she did not earn a degree like she should have. And I would argue that this happens because of DEI and other policies, that people get pushed through the education system. And instead of education, we have credentialing. You get credentials, so you can have those letters at the end of your name. You're not educated.
Yeah.
Right? You didn't learn anything.
My example of this is the one time we had a tenant and medical doctor. While he was doing his residency, brilliant guy. And then he texted me. He's like, Brent, can you show me how to hang a picture on the wall? I have a few, I have my medical credentials, like the thing you earn when you go to school.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And he wants to hang it on the wall. So he's asking me for, can you come and hang this? I don't know how to hang this on the wall. And I'm like, so you know what I did? I just took a nail and I went right through it.
right through the diploma?
Right through the glass.
Right through
I don't know. It's a diploma. It's like the thing, You're a doctor. Right through that red seal part. Just put a big nail. It's like, there you go. It's stuck to the wall now.
Oh, man. Well, see, that's different kind of smarts.
Yeah, but exactly. I'm not to say he's not a brilliant guy, but when you talk about educated, it's okay,
yeah, and people are so oh,
and also devaluing trades and devaluing people who actually have practical skills. It's there's a need for everything, right?
Absolutely. But getting literacy and reading, and the fact that we have the Bible in a written format, I don't think that's a mistake, and it's important for a Christian to be able to read, but then for people. And the benefits of being able to sit and read your Bible, right? There's other benefits for that. So that the good news, I guess, in a lot of this about the overstimulation and, you're rewiring your synapses and using your the back of your brain instead of the front of your brain, you can rewire that. You can fix it. Right. And one of the ways that you can do that is by engaging in long form reading. So, if you're secular, that means there's lots of stuff to read. And we're often you got a book there, you've got another book, I've got, I don't know how many books at home that I've got the first quarter done. And then I moved on to the next one. But the point is you got to read, and you should read a lot.
Yeah. You read the table of contents and you go to the next one. You're you're the epitome of using the front of your brain there.
I just read that it was a joke, but Netflix is going to offer a new scrolling only service where you don't actually get any of the movies, but you can just scroll through all the titles.
Yeah.
Which is I'm guilty of, right? And my wife's like, why don't you pick something to watch? And then it'll be an hour later. She's like, have you found anything? I'm like, no, but I looked at a lot.
Yeah, it's so nice.
Anyways, reading, right? Reading is a huge one. Long form reading.
Well, you had talked about rebuilding your baseline, because when you talk about dopamine and the chemicals and stuff like that, and what you just mentioned, fixing it.
Yep.
And rewiring your brain, I guess. Can you get to a baseline level where, is it you just need to go for some period of time with no stimulation, and that will start to retrain your brain?
So, some interesting things there. So I mentioned that conference that I went to, and one of the fellows...
On pornography.
Yeah, on porn. And against it.
Yeah.
Just to be clear. One of the fellows sharing his story said that his therapist said, okay, if you're serious about beating this, I want you to go 90 days without any kind of sexual interaction. All right? Definitely not porn or anything like that, or soft porn or whatever, but also not with your wife.
Right.
Right? And so that one kind of, I was like, what? I would say no, you have a wife, engage in that. But the whole point was just rewiring his brain. 90 days of you don't need this, right? Yeah. And he made the point, nobody ever died from not having sex.
Yeah.
right? And it's like, yeah, I mean, a lot of people will use that, that excuse, especially husbands who like maybe aren't satisfied and they're like, well, my wife doesn't satisfy or we don't have enough and I need it. And it's like, actually you don't.
Yeah.
You can go 90 days without it. You can go, I mean, people go their whole life without it, right?
Yeah.
So that's one excuse there. But the whole point is rewiring, like your brain is plasticky. I don't know what the word is, but plastic maybe?
Neuroplasticity.
Yes, that's the one. You big nerd. You're so educated, Brent.
Yeah.
But the point is you can rewire your brain, right? Because there's some physical, like the dopamine receptors and stuff that you have to fix. Again, not a medical expert here. You can fix it.
Can we apply that to the financial sector? The money.
Oh, man.
Well, so one fix that I was thinking about is short-term versus long-term thinking.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't know if it's something you can just force or if it's a result of incentives, right? Like, can you just force yourself to think long-term?
Oh, man. I would argue that, yeah, personally you can. Like if you think in frames of alcohol or drug addiction.
Well, let's say you grab your phone and you're starting to scroll and then you start, like if you were to close your eyes and just say, all right, I'm thinking long-term. So if I do this now, like what good is that? Like what will that achieve in the future?
Yeah.
Like, will my kids be pleased or will I even have kids or, like if you start weighing the consequences, because thinking long-term makes you think about the consequences of what you are doing in the moment.
It does, but I think it's very hard for most people to just have that realization and be like, okay, let me think about it. Let me use my big brain and think about it. Right. So again, you look at alcohol or drug addiction.
People, Mark.
No, they're only the best people. I didn't say it. Other people have said it. They're the best listeners. No, but if you are going, so alcohol, drug addiction, right? The common theme is like, number one, like you're probably not just going to change.
Yeah.
Right. You need to hit rock bottom. A lot of, as I've heard that many times, and I guess have seen that in some context, right? Without some external thing to make you realize like you're there. Like people are just generally not going to learn because that addiction and whatever else is going on is just too strong for them to overcome. So there often needs to be an external event. And I think that applies to a lot of things, right? And then, if there's not an external, like if there's not maybe a thing where you lose your house or you lose your wife or your family or whatever, at least a strong realization that like, this has got to stop. And then you have to do something like that 90-day fast, and maybe that's more benign, right? It's social media addiction or scrolling or whatever. People will do a fast from social media or from their phone, right? You can get phones the simplistic phones where it's just text. There's no icons even, right? So it can still be a smartphone and have access to stuff, but you lose some of that, like the pretty colors and the sort of the gamification of the whole thing, right? So I think, you do a fast and maybe you need to do that periodically.
Yeah, there's an interesting product I've seen, the Daylight computer.
Okay,
it's like a tablet, I guess like an iPad, but it kind of like an iPad mixed with a Kindle. Like you can interact with it more like a computer, not just like a Kindle, but it has the same like screen readability. It's almost like a paper texture. That's an interesting product. I don't know if I would use it or what I would use it for. But that's kind of exactly what you're talking about. They strip all the stimulation out of the computer experience because people actually want to produce something when they're working on a computer and they get distracted. I don't know if you have that, but if you guys sit down to try and write something and you get a notification or you see something on your screen, it's like, oh, I should probably click on that.
Yep. And like 5 things later, I'm like, what was I doing? Okay, I got to get back to that one now. Yeah, and that, you can reset your baseline, right? Like your nervous system. And again, I'm not saying like I've done this or whatever, but like from what I've, from research, right? So long form reading, I do that. Daily periods with zero stimulation. So we've talked, have we? I don't know. We're going to have, at some point, going to have Ian Wildeboer on. Dr. Reverend the Reverend Doctor. We'll see if that makes him uncomfortable when he's on. But anyways, one of the things that he has talked about, and because he's my pastor as well to us, is about solitude, right? Engaging in solitude. And like, how do you do that? We're too busy. But like, so just no stimulation. And I think you talked about this in relation to Huberman Labs.
Yeah, Huberman Labs. So a scientific perspective on this is he takes research and then kind of condenses it into tangible things that people can kind of use to improve their health and their energy levels and whatnot. But one of the things he talked about is we live in this world of overstimulation. But it's interesting because when you look outside at nature, it's almost like, why isn't that overstimulating? Like there's snow and rain falling out of the sky, all random little things flying around, like the trees are flapping, and
there's 1,000 leaves.
Yeah, there's all kinds of colors and stuff going on, but like something about the way, and he's not Christian, but like the way God designed creation and our mind and eyes and the way we receive and like hear and feel and everything about creation is designed to kind of reset our energy levels and reset our focus. And it's interesting because like he looks at the science of it and like, well, okay, from a faith perspective, yeah, it makes sense. There's a designer behind this and your body, and they're working together. So he says when you're in an artificial environment created by, straight lines, like different noises, different
artificial
light, right? Yeah. So computers is a big one. Your focus gets drained. But when you go back into nature and you have these fractal patterns that, there's a lot going on, but it's almost like this poetry in the form that you're looking at. It's actually resetting your whole, brain and your focus and your body. So time in nature. And I think his takeaway there and his recommendation was, hey, go spend, minimum 20, but like, ideally like 30, 40 minutes of uninterrupted time where you don't have any audio stimulate, like you're not listening to music. People go
for birds. Are birds okay?
Not man-made bird, not like the Angry Birds kind of thing. No. Yeah. So like go into and immerse yourself in nature where you're not like walking past concrete buildings, and then also try to unplug in terms of not listening to podcasts, not listening to music even.
Except for the Two Stewards show.
The Two Stewards show will reset your focus.
Yeah.
You can, it's natural.
Yeah. All natural, 100% natural.
Yeah. $39.99. Or has the price has gone up, right? Yeah.
Since we left, it's inflation.
Yeah, inflation. But yeah, that 40 minutes a day.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, who has 40 minutes a day to just go drive into the middle of nowhere and sit there, right? But that will reset.
I think even sometime.
Yeah. And he even said like, oh, can you bring your kids? And they said like, actually, when you have to focus on them and their safety and whatever else, he said that actually like also strains your ability to focus and your ability.
Interesting. But yeah, it's like the answer is focus on the Creator. And I think we talk about, whether it's solitude, whether it's reading the Bible.
We're made in His image.
Yeah. Well, because a lot of the like the answers you're talking from Huberman and other people, like how do we reset and how do we get back? Like
and happiness is tied to producing and not consuming.
Yeah, but it's kind of it is self-centered, right? I mean, what else if there's no God? Then it has to be yourself. But I think for the Christian, the answer is like, look outside of yourself. Don't focus on yourself, right? You can go in nature, and you don't have to be
like a hermit.
No, but I mean, like, I don't know. You can, I think you can kind of you can meditate on God's, like His greatness and how the Creator. But I don't even think it has to be that conscious. You can just be out there and appreciate it. And you understand God made this. But then the same thing with like long form reading, there should be Bible reading in there. And that will orient you again towards God. And then towards depending on what you're reading, acts of service, helping others, right? Meditation, right? David writes about that. I meditate on your law day and night. People will do meditation and self-talk now. Well, spend that time in prayer.
That's all we're here for, is the glory of God and serving other people. Like, if you think about it like that, you're sitting in front of your phone or whatever, and you're just consuming content or stimulating your mind and your brain, like, am I going to be able to use this to serve other people? Or is it going to be self-service? Like, oh yeah, I know I could talk about the game with my buddies and that will be cool, but like, really? Is that service? I know all about this sport. Like,
well, I mean, I think there's value in leisure too, right? We're not made to work all the time.
That's another thing. Like, we should do one on leisure versus recreation, and like even the word recreation, like recreation, right? Like we are creation. We need to recreate. So leisure, like downtime, should be focused on recreating yourself rather than entertaining and pleasing yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that's where like the world's twisted that leisure time into something that's self-serving again, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
I stumped you. Yes. We're going to...
No, it got me thinking.
2026 is a big year.
Yeah.
Brent's going to stump Mark.
We'll talk about holidays because apparently that was a real concept introduced in the Victorian age for regular people to holiday. I'm like, I never really thought about that. But anyways, we'll work that in there. Used to be for rich people, but
Mark, none of this has anything to do with stewardship.
It's all tied. It's all stewardship.
Okay.
We're gonna change our tagline to steward yourself wisely or something. But no, I think it 100% is stewardship, because you take care of yourself, and then again with kids, if you have kids, if you're blessed with children, but even other people, right? You can model that to them. And like we said, a lot of this is kind of when you have kids, you think about this stuff and you're like, okay, I got to teach them. And then if you're teaching them, well, you better be doing the same thing as well, right? Instead of like looking up from your phone and knock it off, kids.
Modeling it.
Trying to relax.
Well, and the other thing too is that these are souls, right? Like you're a soul.
Yeah.
You have eternal existence. The kids too.
Yeah.
Right. They're souls that need to be shepherded. And if you look at it less from like just behave right and do the right thing, like, don't do bad things, do good things.
Yeah. I'm moralistic.
That's not necessarily the right perspective. Like, this is a soul. As an adult or a parent, you're called to shepherd that soul and guide it. And that requires a modeling behavior. Like how will your actions impact their soul?
That weighs heavy on
well, because it has eternal consequences. And so do all of our actions too, right? And that's where the stewardship comes in, is there's this eternal aspect to all of the decisions we make, all the choices we have, right? If you if you take that seriously, that has a big impact on your life and change. This is great, man. We could just end the podcast right there.
Well, I mean, I'm sure for some of our listeners, it's seemed like an eternity. So I think you're right. It's probably a good spot to end it, Brent.
I had one more quote that I thought was interesting I could bring up. But he quotes Robin Williams from the Dead Poets Society. I haven't watched this movie yet. Maybe I should watch this.
Yeah, I would say. I mean,
so he said, medicine, law, business, engineering, these are all noble pursuits and necessary to sustain life. But poetry, beauty, romance, love, these are what we stay alive for. I don't know why I brought that, but
interesting.
It's an interesting one. Right?
Different priorities in life, and not everything is about work and productivity, and like there's beauty.
Yeah.
In
Slow
life.
down.
Yeah.
Realize why you're doing this. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. Well, thank you for sticking with us, folks. We will hopefully be back next week with another stimulating episode. And until next time,
steward your wealth wisely. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Two Stewards Show. If you like my voice better, click subscribe.
If you like my voice better, click share.
If you like both, give us a 5-star rating.
To learn more about the show, head on over to twostewards.ca and explore our free resources. To interact with the show, feel free to reach out at hello@twostewards.ca.
We will see you in the next episode. In the meantime, steward your wealth wisely.
Nailed it.